Hi guys and welcome back to the channel Held Dominance. Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you've seen and if you want to see more. Coming up in today's episode, a shock medical issue puts pay to Hardaker's second debut. More international games announced in the Southern Hemisphere. And the first game report of the weekend as we see the Brisbane Broncos versus the Cronulla Sharks. And I begin with the news that Zach Hardaker was rushed to hospital after suffering a suspected seizure while out on a walk with his young son. The incident took place on Tuesday afternoon, shortly after he reported for his first Leeds Rhinos training session, following his return to the club. The 30-year-old was taken to Pindersfield Hospital before being discharged. Hardaker had been due to speak to the media on Wednesday afternoon, but the club said he had been taken ill. As a result, Hardaker will not feature in the Rhinos game against OKR on Friday in what is a latest twist in the rollercoaster week for a former Man of Steel. Zach Hardaker left Wigan with immediate effect last weekend, but ended up moving back to Headingley within a few days, where he previously won 3 grand finals. He thanked the passing paramedic who attended to him following the event. Commenting on the incident, "Firstly, I would like to say a huge thank you to the paramedic who came to my aid and administered first aid before the ambulance arrived. It does not bear thinking about what might have been the outcome without her quick thinking. It's so disappointing that I will not get to play on Friday, but the Rhinos have given me great support and I will make sure I complete all the tests necessary and I hope to be back on the field as soon as possible." Also shocked by this outcome, Leeds CEO Gary Hetherington stated, "At this moment in time, our only concern is Zach's health, and we will provide to him and his family with whatever support is required. The Rhinos medical staff are overseeing things and will be arranging a series of medical tests, which will then give a clearer prognosis of his recovery." It's been an interesting few weeks for Zach Hardaker, and now his return to Leeds Rhinos seems that it's making him a little bit happier. Hopefully it's all successful. Hopefully nothing too untoward has come about for the cause of this seizure, and wish him luck in his future as a rugby league player with Leeds Rhinos. So, the state of origin. Australia's Premier Rugby League Test Series as New South Wales take on Queensland in the bragging rights for who is the best state at rugby league. Granted, there is more than 2 states in Australia, these two take precedence when it comes to rugby league. Anyway, I digress. Whenever these 3 games are on, rugby league in Australia at the professional level shuts down so that this series can take precedence. But on June the 26th, when round 2 is going on, there will be international games the day before, as the International Rugby League have announced a series of international games between nations for men's and women in the Southern Hemisphere. Through negotiations between Troy Grant of the International Rugby League and the NRL, Pacific nations are set to kickstart their World Cup campaigns in June when they take to the field for the first time in tests played in the Southern Hemisphere since 2019. New Zealand will host Tonga in Auckland, while Samoa meets the Cook Islands, and Fiji face Papua New Guinea in a Pacific Test double at Campbelltown Stadium on June the 25th. The tests will take place during the NRL standalone representative round, which features the women's state of origin in Canberra on June the 24th, and game 2 of the men between New South Wales and Queensland in Perth on June the 26th. Besides providing an important opportunity for the Six Nations to prepare for the end of season World Cup in England, the test will also have significant bearing on player eligibility for the tournament. While the likes of Parramatta's Junior Polo, Penrith Panthers' Jerome Luai, and Melbourne Storm's Xavier Coates will be able to play in Origin and still represent their Pacific heritage at the World Cup, players are no longer able to swap nations in the same year. The new rule will prevent the 11th hour defections of the likes of Jason Tamalolo and others from defecting from their original nations, such as New Zealand, Tonga, Fiji, so on and so forth. Take two. The new rule will prevent the 11th hour defections of the likes of Jason Tomalolo, Andrew Fafita, David Fusitua, and Suisua Takiyaho from New Zealand and Australia to Tonga, which was seen at the 2017 World Cup. It means that the likes of Sharks winger Ronaldo Mulitalo will be unable to play for New Zealand in a mid-season test and then choose to represent Samoa at the World Cup if he was left out of the Kiwi squad. However, the likes of Cronulla centre Siasifa Takalake, Brisbane's Katoni Stags, or Penrith Panthers' Stephen Crichton could still represent New South Wales in their upcoming Origin series and play for Tonga or Samoa in the World Cup. Similar eligibility rules have been introduced ahead of the Women's and Wheelchair World Cups to be played alongside the men's tournament in England at the end of the year. The Kiwis Ferns also warm up for their test for the World Cup with a test against Tonga in the doubleheader at the Mount Smart Stadium on June the 25th. The Kiwi Ferns enter the World Cup as number one ranked test nation at the women's and also the men's ranked number one, while Tonga last test was a historic 16 points to 12 defeat of the Kangaroos at Eden Park in 2019. Tonga also beat Great Britain in 2019 and shocked New Zealand on home soil in the 2017 World Cup. We are excited about the opportunity to represent a proud nation of Tonga for the first time since the successful campaign against Australia and Great Britain back in 2019, Tonga coach Christian Wolf said. This opportunity has been a long time coming, so we can't wait to face the Kiwis again. This will be an important match for us as we look to reunite the team and also give some of our young players a chance to represent their country ahead of the World Cup. ARLC Chairman Peter Vlandis said the representative round will celebrate the rebirth of International Rugby League following the COVID-19 pandemic. The Commission has made it clear that growing International Rugby League will be a priority, and we are delivering on that promise. Representative round will provide a return to the excitement and national pride that test matches produce, he said. The Pacific Test will be vital for these nations as they prepare for the World Cup later this year, and importantly for our fans, a chance to watch their heroes live in their national colours. The passion of the Pacific Test nations and their fans is something unique to Rugby League. This is part of the long-term plan to grow the international game in conjunction with the International Rugby League and member countries. We've seen the growth and success of Tonga in the recent years, and we want to capitalise on the depth of our test-playing nations. NRL Chief Executive Andrew Abdo said the 2022 representative round would celebrate the game's best players. To have State of Origin and Test matches across one round for the final time before we enter a new 2023 cycle of a dedicated international window in October is exciting for the game. I'd like to thank the clubs, the IRL, the RLPA, and the various international bodies for working together to make the round a reality. International Rugby League Chairman Troy Grant said the matches will be an important fixtures ahead of the World Cup later in 2022. It is great to be able to give the players from the Pacific nations time together ahead of the World Cup. We are also really excited to have the chance to kickstart and rejuvenate International Rugby League in the Southern Hemisphere after the impact of the pandemic. There has been very little opportunity to play international matches for more than 2 years, and we know how passionate the players from the Cook Islands, Fiji, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, and Tonga are all about representing their nations. We are very grateful to the ARLC, NRL, clubs, and each of the nations involved for their support and contribution towards what is an important and significant world weekend for the International Rugby League. For a little bit of outside information, the New Zealand-Tonga double-header coincides with Matariki, the Maori New Year, and this has to do, well, this is on Friday the 24th of June, and is traditionally, Mariki was used to determine the coming of season's crop, a warmer season and therefore more productive crop yield. And it was indicated by bright stars, how bright the stars were. Matariki provides an ideal opportunity to explore the ways that people pass on and sustain aspects of their cultural and heritage. So we always know that the Pacific Islanders put on the show, whether it's playing beforehand and anything like that, but double significance for this double header as Matariki is celebrated. Now we end with our report for the NRL game that was played on Thursday morning. Thursday morning here, Thursday night in Australia, as we see the Brisbane Broncos face the Cronulla Sharks at Suncorp Stadium. Cronulla are there or thereabouts like normal, 10 points from their 7 games, while Broncos are just outside the playoff places with 6 points from their 7 games so far. And here are the teams. Kevin Walters has finalised his side with the same 17 that downed the Bulldogs on Friday to run out against the Sharks. Timothy Martin will continue to wear the number 1 shirt after his impressive comeback following 3 years on the sideline. Captain Wade Graham for the Sharks is confirmed to make his comeback from an ankle injury via the bench, but Dale Finucane calf injury will miss out again with Cam McInnes starting at lock. Braden Trindle takes the final bench spot over from Andrew Fafita. Royce Hunter again swaps into the starting lineup for Aidan Tolman. And we go into the first half as Brisbane made a statement with their defence and gave the Sharks wrecking ball no time or space, with Adam Reynolds and T. Marie Martin impressively guiding their side around. Things took a while to get going for both sides, as errors were made on attack in the opening quarter, before a lovely piece of backyard footy from Matt Moylan opened the scoring on the 21st minute. Noticing fullback Martin had already committed earlier in the play, Moylan dropped the ball on his toe and won the race to his own kick to put the Sharks 6-0 up. The enthralling battle between Katoni Staggs and Siasifa Talaleki went up a notch in the 34th minute as the Broncos centre sold his fellow Blues Origin hopeful a huge dummy, then a fend away from Ronaldo Mulitalo to make it 6-all. Nico Hines coolly snapped a long-range field goal on the stroke at half-time to put the visitors up at the break. The Broncos came out of the sheds firing through and added 2 tries in the 8 minutes after the break. Both came via some wonderful long left-right to left ball movement that separated the Sharks' defence and resulting in tries for Herbie Farnworth and Kurt Capewell to move to 16 points to 7 ahead. That ended up being the final score, as Brisbane failed to put the finishing touches on a few more attacking sets, but defended their own line ferociously even, when asked to in closing out a well-earned win. The highly anticipated battle between the two possible rivals for a New South Wales centrebird, between Talakai and Katoni Staggs, did not disappoint. It was the Broncos with a knockout win in their personal duels, though totally shutting down the Sharks' wrecking ball with his in-your-face defence. And scoring a try of his own to be arguably best on ground. The much improved Nico Hines continues to come up with the big plays for the Sharks and developing into a fullback, a very good fullback, but was harassed into an unhappy second half with a number of errors as the Broncos run the Sharks ragged. Team Marie Martin's comeback is a real feel-good story, but the quality of his football has completely belied the 3-year layoff, with some quality touches and intelligent game awareness making a big difference to Brisbane. He will stake a huge claim for the number 6 jersey once Tessa Niu returns to the side. Tom Fletcher had his best game of his suspension-interrupted season, pulling the Sharks' defence apart with some late offloads, one of which helped create the Kurt Capewell's try. Adam Reynolds was forced off for a HIA on the 33rd minute after a stray elbow split the bridge of his nose open, but he was able to return in after half-time and put in another polished effort in a Brisbane win. Kane Haas looked troubled by a shoulder injury he picked up last week. He battled through to half-time and played 14 minutes in the second half, but did not return after the 54-minute spell. Cameron Innes was placed on report for a crusher tackle, and that in all says that the final score came to Brisbane Broncos 16, Cronulla Sharks 7. And that's it for another episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and share this video worldwide, as we want to get the word out for Rugby League for you, me and everyone. And please remember to click that notification bell for any updates that may be coming your way or any new videos in the next coming days. We are still looking for members in our Facebook group to join the conversation or to introduce a conversation to each of our members. Please click on the barcode with your QR scanner and you'll be directed straight to the page, and just like the page. Anyway, tell me what your thoughts are on today's episode. How do you feel about the Broncos result? Do you think they're doing really, really well? Their 4th win of the season, it takes them up into the playoffs provisionally. And results could go their way where they could stay there, which is a big plus compared to last season. International Rugby League's back. Which, if you're in Australia, which game, or New Zealand, which game are you going to go watch? Which one are you looking forward to watching on TV? I know my personal preference would be New Zealand versus Tonga, as they're 2 heavyweights, but all 3 games in the men's and the 2 games in the the double header in New Zealand with the women's game will be good watching no matter what Rugby League is being played. And finally, Zach Hardaker. Yeah, it's good, then bad, then good for the lad. Hopefully the run of luck will change in his favour, but at this time, just want him to stay healthy. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to share this video worldwide. I wish you all the best. Please stay safe, and I'll see you in the next episode.